live again.
Well, they finally did it. Again. Not content to have Fresh Supply remain unupdated and kinda sorta unfaithful to the original game because if you'll remember, Night Dive had to reverse engineer the code last time. But now they have the Blood source code. Do another video, Civvie. We need to know what you think of the new Blood port that probably doesn't need to exist. It's great. Feels amazing. Tighter and more responsive than Fresh Supply. The fire effects and damage output have been tweaked significantly in that Hellhounds can fuck you up way worse than before, like I remember in the old DOS days. Cultists feel just a tiny bit squishier than they used to, but this comes with the damage they output seeming higher. That's not surprising, that's just blood. Vertical aiming feels better in general. That's kinda hard to explain, but there's less of the ugly motion sickness 2.5D looking up and down problem. Which is weird, because despite the vertical aiming being better, now the sky is broken. Look at this from Refresh Supply, and then look at this from DOS Blood, and then look at it in Fresh Supply. That's straight up borked, but don't worry, you'll only notice it when you're outside. You're only going to see this bug in these levels. No, wait, they've apparently been working on a hotfix that'll be out before the end of the year that fixes the sky problem. I love tackling new releases, kids, especially when there's an entire community of people screaming at me about how buggy the thing is. It's worse than Fresh Supply, they cry at me, when it's actually pretty obviously not. You've got everything you'd expect from a modern Night Dive port. They've included the Marrow expansion with Death Wish coming soon. That's right, more content. Sure, you can download those mods and play them, and when I booted up Marrow, I realized I'd already played it before. The Blood cutscenes have been redone entirely like the ones in Hexen, which doesn't bother me because the Blood cutscenes were hideous. Graphically, it's a step up, with the pixels looking cleaner. Aside from the weather effects, I didn't notice any level changes. I think there might be extra voxels around. This ideally would have been the remaster they made 6 years ago, but like I said, they didn't have the source code. Other things I couldn't help but notice, you remember how you used to be able to cheese bloated butchers because they couldn't aim at you while crouched? Yeah, they fixed that. Because Blood, in general, needed to be more difficult. That doesn't bother me as much as Chiog getting the same treatment, so there's no cheesing him anymore either. You can turn these fixes off along with some other tweaks to monster behavior that was a little rough due to being the build engine. I still get gargoyles that won't leave the sky to fight me because yeah, sure. And like the other more recent Night Dive remasters, there's a vault containing behind-the-scenes stuff, art, cut sprites, and a shocking number of old beta and alpha levels thrown in for good measure. It's Blood, theoretically as close as one can get it to the DOS version. I don't know what you guys want me to say, it's Blood, it's a remaster, done right as far as I can tell. I haven't personally encountered many bugs, though I've had people sending them to me like I'm gonna do something about it, like this here in E1M1 where
Out, damn spot.
doesn't work. I see some enemies roaming around like idiots, but I can't be sure if that's a Refresh Supply problem or a build problem. Same with cultists deciding to toss dynamite in the wrong direction. I don't know what that's about. I know the multiplayer is borked, and in my brief time with it, I got kicked out of nearly every bloodbath match I joined within 5 minutes. Other things people have complained about that I didn't encounter and can't replicate: sound issues. I've read a lot about this and only found it true so far with the innocent bystanders, who were mostly silent. Y'all got me excited about build engine doors squishing me, and I couldn't make it happen. There's a weird glitch where cultists hit by the life leech occasionally go into their electrocution frames. On E4M6, this trap is borked. But should you buy it? Of course, this is all preamble to talk about how the goddamn thing costs $30 for some reason. Yeah, you can upgrade from Fresh Supply if you pay $10. Before that offer expired on release day! Look, I love Blood. It's one of the best shooters ever and one of my absolute favorite games, but $30 for a remaster of it after selling the last remaster for like $10? I don't give a fuck personally, they send me keys for this stuff. But money, you know, that thing that people famously don't have a lot of these days, and I don't think this is a Night Dive problem. Because they sold a Heretic and Hexen remaster for $15 that included 2 new expansions made for that remaster, not plucked off the internet. Hell, we got an updated port and episode for Doom for nothing if we already bought the Bethesda version. The remaster of Dark Forces was $30 too. Outlaws just got remastered by Night Dive, and guess what? Also $30. Pricing seems dependent on how much the IP holders want for doing fuck all. Hey, Atari, Warner Brothers, you guys remember how you sat on the Blood license for decades? And now you want me to pay, at the very least, the cost of fresh supply for refresh supply. And let's add that on top of what I paid for the limited run game's release of Blood Fresh Supply, which cost $150 and took over a year to get to me. Maybe I can pay $200 next time for Blood Refresh Supply Special Edition and wait 2 years and fuck you. Lap my fucking scrotum, you vultures. I've always thought that Fresh Supply was a bit of an embarrassment for Night Dive. It came out rough, they couldn't fix it before the time that Atari allowed them to work on it ran out, and so it's languished in its current state until now, and it's been delisted from Steam. $30 is steep for this kind of thing. However, unlike the original Fresh Supply, Refresh Supply is on consoles, which, good for console players, I guess. I wouldn't want to play this game without a mouse. We're talking about 2 user campaigns that people have already played. The target audience, blood fanatics who are willing to pay another $10 for an update, they know what Death Wish is. They probably know what Marrow is, and they probably played both of them in N-Blood. I don't know if you guys remember, but the real blood fanatics detested Fresh Supply, especially at launch. I don't know, man, I feel like we're witnessing the $20 game get turned into the $30 game, like we saw 60 turn into 70, turn into 80, turn into 100, but you get to play it a week ahead of everyone else. Well, I got to play Refresh Supply a week ahead of everybody else, and I was happy with it. Shame that the people who own Night Dive are more interested in fucking you. Breaking news, Netflix has bought Warner Brothers. It's Jover. It's done. Can't wait for the animated adaptation of Blood that spends 6 episodes leading up to Caleb picking up his first gun. No, wait, here comes Paramount with a steel chair.